You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me is my co-host, Chrissy. How are you today?
I'm not bad. I'm feeling a little bit like I need to pull back on the technology I'm using. I'm getting disconnected. I think I'm going to start writing with a pen on paper for a little bit. You know, it's just nicer that way.
I'm not sure if it's nicer, but like all of my tech like spontaneously combusted somehow, and so I think I have to use a pen and paper now.
That explains why you sound like this is coming through a tin can with a string in it.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, got to record the podcast somehow.
Well, exactly.
Also joining us today is Dan Gunther from Positively Trek. Dan, how are you today?
Not too bad. You know, it's kind of interesting, the timing of this. We are surrounded by fire right now, but it is not the mostly benign, just targeting technology kind. So,
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend getting close to it.
No.
Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers, Carl Wonders and Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And with a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5, you can join our meetings of the Hive Mind on the second Saturday of each month. Watch your Patreon messages for details. Alright, so it's been a few weeks since we last talked Star Trek, because we're in that period where there's no new episodes of Star Trek for a little bit. So as far as news goes, tangentially related, we've got the Writers Guild of America strike, which is affecting production on Strange New Worlds that we know of. Mm-hmm. Likely will affect pre-production on the Section 31 movie and Starfleet Academy show. We don't know specifics on that. We do know that Strange New Worlds was supposed to begin production and did not. So that will be delayed. Whether or not that ends up delaying the actual release of Season 3, well, that depends on how long the strike goes.
Yeah. And that is the right thing to do.
Yes.
I'm very glad to see that they are on the right side of things with that. Of course, Trek always has been in these situations, but you never know these days. So that's good. I'm willing to wait. You know, their cause is a good one, and it's one that needs fixing. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Solidarity.
Really glad, because we know Strange New Worlds was about to begin filming. So we know that they would have had shooting scripts made up already for at least some of the episodes. I'm really glad that they are not just going forward with that without editing, without doing the on-set edits that normally happen.
Yeah.
Because shows do sometimes do that when there's an issue like this, and they usually suffer because if you can't make any changes to the script, then things are just not going to work as well in the shot as you thought they were when you wrote them, and if you can't make changes, you're stuck with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just want to echo what's been said. I am totally willing to wait for my Star Trek if it means supporting job action like this, for sure.
Absolutely.
And on something desperately needed, as you said, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Everyone deserves to be fairly compensated for their work, and that should not be a controversial opinion.
No.
Hear.
I learned something recently, and it was being applied to teachers when I learned about it, but it applies here too. Where you have jobs that are more like a vocation, where it's not just like this is not just what I'm doing for a living. This is something that I am this is part of who I am. There is a concept that is called vocational awe. Okay, people are in awe of you being able to do this thing that you love, or, it's applied sometimes to nurses and doctors, more nurses for how this falls out. And it's applied to teachers, and it can be applied to writers. And the idea is basically like everyone thinks that you're so lucky to be able to do what it is you want to do in your life. And that whole idea of if you're doing what makes you happy, it's not work. And that's
bullshit.
Not exactly true. And it's an excuse to pay less, because it's like, wow, you get to do this thing that is so wonderful, and it's such a good for the community and humanity and whatever, and you're happy doing it instead of, I don't know, being a bookkeeper or something like that. There's nothing wrong with bookkeepers. I'm just saying that's
being a bookkeeper is probably some people's passion even.
Hey, yeah, exactly. My point is something that's just like a job that you're doing that just pays the bills, and that's not an excuse. Okay, vocational awe is not an excuse to pay sufficiently. So I'm putting that out there. It's a term that I just recently learned, so that's my word for the day.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff online too with people saying like, oh, all these writers that are only getting $250,000 a year, blah blah blah, and like the reality of that job, if you're the top of the top, sure, you're getting a wage like that for a period of time, but it's also not a job that is like a 20-year career that you have a consistent thing over. There's writers that, will make that for an 8-month period or a 9-month period. Usually a lot less than that, by the way, just on record.
Yes.
But like even the top wage earners will make that for a certain period of time, and then maybe go like 18, 19 months with no income as they're, pitching pilots, trying to get work here and there. It's definitely not a stable income. And a lot of the illusions that people have of, oh, you've written something, your name's on a TV show, you must be a millionaire. That is definitely not the truth at all.
No. And what I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize is that this particular strike is so that they will get what they did get when shows were shown on TV from streaming. Because it's about residuals. When episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation show on, H&I, the authors of those episodes get paid for it. Admittedly, at this point, it's probably not all that much, but they still do get paid for each time an episode goes out. Like, Belinda Snodgrass gets money every time A Measure of a Man is shown anywhere. The thing is, though, on streaming, they're not getting, or if they are getting anything, it's pennies on the dollar. And those are from some rules that were set in place when streaming wasn't really the primary focus. But now, you could certainly say that streaming is probably more popular than watching it on TV. So, yeah, they need to get paid what they would have gotten paid if it was showing on TV. And that's all there is to it. I can't think of any logical argument against what the writers are asking for. Other than studios want more money.
Well, yeah. I mean, greed is always a factor.
I also saw an incredibly ridiculous take that someone was saying was that the writers need to realize that this is hurting people's mental health because they need to be able to watch TV shows. Well,
I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
For one thing, there's already a ton of shows you can watch, so...
Okay. You know what? I'm not going to say that there isn't anyone out there who's feeling figuratively twitchy because they don't have new episodes of whatever their favorite show is.
Sure.
But, okay, for 99% of us, take this as an opportunity to watch something that you haven't had time to because the other shows that you're so caught up in have been so consistent. You know, I got a list a mile long of stuff that I have been meaning to watch. Now, here's the problem. Do I feel like I shouldn't be watching anything on Netflix during this because they're not getting residuals for it? And I say that with a laugh in my voice, but I have considered it. There have been writers that have said, though, don't do that because that's going to make the situation worse because then they'll start losing money. And
I have seen some people sharing saying, yes, cancel your Netflix, but I have not seen anyone who is actually involved in the strike saying that. Those are only people who are thinking they're helping when they're not.
Yeah.
Well, I did love Robert Hewitt Wolf tweeting out the screen cap of ROM in Bar Association saying workers of the world unite.
Yes.
I love how much that's been going around. I love how much that drawing, that beautiful piece of artwork of O'Brien and them in the bar is going around. The one that says the workers are, it's right over there. It says, yeah, labor is entitled to all it creates. I have it on my wall there. So, yeah.
No. Yeah, that's by the artist Will Burrows. You can buy it on a T-shirt from his website. He's on Twitter, and you can get a T-shirt or a poster. I have the T-shirt. It's actually really good quality. It's a very good printing. It's one of my favorite shirts.
Nice.
Yeah, I got it on a little sticker. So, yeah. So shout out to the guy who produced that, Will Burrows. Cool.
All right. So. But the writer's strike will affect Strange New Worlds Season 3, but Strange New Worlds Season 2 was already written and shot a long time ago, so that's still coming out June 15th, as scheduled. Although there's something interesting happened today. This is almost certainly a mistake on the part of the Paramount marketing team. Shocker, I know. They tweeted out an ad for Strange New Worlds Season 3, and then tweeted a reply to it saying, with the same boilerplate availability information as they did in Season 1, not mentioning, saying that it will be available in the US on the 15th, and then in Canada on Crave, and on, is it Space? Is that the channel that they showed on?
CTV Sci-Fi now.
Okay, yes.
It used to be Space, yeah.
And available on Paramount Plus in the Nordics. And no mention of the yeah, so that's another thing that the CBS announcements about availability is the only time I've ever heard that phrase used to describe the Scandinavian countries. But anyway.
Well, not without the word countries after. I've heard the Nordic countries.
But they say the Nordics. But regardless, it doesn't mention all those other it doesn't mention all those other countries where Paramount Plus has launched since Strange New Worlds Season 1 first came out, where we can certainly assume it will also be showing, but they didn't say that. They just say additional international availability will be mentioned, will be announced later. So they copied the same thing they said when they were promoting Season 1. But of course,
the Control-C, Control-V method of marketing.
Of course, Twitter being Twitter, there are a lot of people freaking out about it.
Of course.
And honestly, this was this morning that they did this, and they haven't corrected themselves yet, so they deserve it.
Yeah, that's a quick fix.
They did say a couple months ago that the Paramount Plus releases will be on the same day internationally.
Good.
So that should be how it is. Even weird CBS tweets notwithstanding.
And for the countries who don't have it, let me start talking about our new sponsor, VPN, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, this was too easy.
Well, it was better that I would have said our new sponsor, the Pirate Bay.
Also a very useful place to find things if you are inclined towards such activity. And I also recommend using a VPN in that case.
Yeah, absolutely use a VPN if you're doing that. But I would personally say that I would not consider piracy to be ethically wrong if you cannot legally procure the thing.
100%. 100%.
That's always been that's been my, like, if I can pay for it somehow, I will go that route. But if there's absolutely no way for me to get the thing, then yeah, that. And I mean, during a writer's strike, maybe my ethics on that may be a little bit more malleable, but I couldn't possibly say one way or the other.
It is worth pointing out that they do not get residuals for pirated media.
No, this is very true.
This is true.
That would be an interesting point to negotiate.
I'm actually, I bet that has come up.
I'm sure.
Maybe not in this strike, but recall that Game of Thrones was the most pirated show ever.
Yep, and HBO said they liked that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure that came up somewhere with this.
That didn't stop them from sending out DMCA claims against people who downloaded it, but,
Maybe that's why they liked it. More money.
An extra source of revenue, yeah.
But, and Netflix used to say that they liked that people shared their accounts with their friends and family, too.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Tweets
well, they
that
liked
didn't
that
age
because
well.
they planned to later make it so that people needed to spend the money. Before we are completely gone away from the strike, I just want to mention or ask, do we know if the reshoots on Discovery are done? Because
I believe so,
that
yes.
as well. Okay. I hadn't heard that this had affected it, so I assumed they were finished, but
I've just seen people speculating that they're done.
Yeah,
but
I don't think
there's
I've
been
seen
any kind
anything
of on
hard
eye.
and fast on that.
Yeah.
But and I don't recall which person it was, but one of the writers on Discovery tweeted a group photo of several writers on the picket line, and there were some of the usual trolls on Twitter. We're saying, oh, well, the Discovery writers should stay there because Discovery sucks and stuff like that. And I don't recall the name of this writer, but he responded saying, well, we're done writing Discovery. It's over, so...
But we still get residuals whether or not you like it.
Yeah. First, I would say anyone who feels the need, and I have always said that feels the need to reply to creatives to tell them their work sucks, they suck. Even if you don't like something, there's no need to do that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
100%.
Just smack yourself on the hand instead.
But speaking of Strange New Worlds Season 2, we have a complete list of the episode titles. I don't actually know where this came from. I just know it's been shared around a lot.
Yeah, it looks like official type background, but that means nothing.
No, I think somebody typed it up, but I don't think officially. I think somebody who had the list decided to shared it with somebody else who then probably made that image. But based on the image, it would have been a lot of effort to make those fake titles for no real reason, so I'm pretty sure they're the real titles.
And if not, props to the prank.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And talk to the writers after they're done striking, because you probably should be working with them.
Yeah. So, probably most notably is that episode 7 is entitled Those Old Scientists, which we know that there's a Lower Decks crossover, so it's going to be that one. Which would be referencing the joke from Season 1 of Lower Decks, where they referred to the 23rd century as the TOS era, standing for Those Old Scientists.
Yep.
Still one of my favorite jokes.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that that's the episode title. That's great.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
No, I laughed my ass off watching that episode. That was great. I also liked that they showed... On that same episode, when they're talking about how Kirk had been to the planet, they showed an image on the pad, and it was TAS art style Kirk and Spock.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Absolutely. It would be fun if... We know that we're going to see animated Pike, right? But we don't know if anybody else is going to be animated. It would be fun if we saw animated Spock and he looked like that. Or if they did Pike, if they did everybody from the Enterprise with that look, and then everybody else was from Strange New Worlds look, and yeah.
Oh, that would be
ideas.
wonderful.
I'm also also preemptively looking forward to the Blu-ray release of Season 2 because
oh god, yeah,
that episode is directed by Jonathan Frakes, which means it will most likely have a Frakes audio commentary. They'll probably also bring in Tawny Newsome and Brad Quaid for that commentary, and it's going to be hilarious.
That would be great. Yeah.
That's the kind of thing where if it's not on the Blu-ray, they're just going to do it on YouTube.
They usually bring in Frakes to
I know they do.
To do a commentary for one of his episodes. Granted, that Star Trek has not been very consistent with their audio commentaries. Some season releases get a bunch, some get none. But if Jonathan Frakes is involved in a season, he will usually have at least one audio commentary on that season. Like there's two. Like he's one of like two commentaries for Discovery season 2 because he directed New Eden.
Yeah.
He's in a commentary track on Lower Decks season 3, and he's not even in that season.
Isn't that the one where they had to bleep the spoilers that he gave for Picard or something?
That was in
or was
season
that
2.
That was in season 2. Okay.
No, he's in for the Lower Decks season 3. He's in the commentary for the one where they go to First Contact Land. Because
that's right. Yeah,
he was there, so that makes sense.
Right.
I mean, both in story and in real life. So.
Yeah, I will say that Lower Decks season 3 Blu-ray release, which I think is the most recent Star Trek Blu-ray release we've gotten, that one, 50% of the episodes have commentary tracks, which would be very happy.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's a little easier to do commentary on a half-hour comedy than it is some other things, but yeah, it's great, and I hope it means that we'll get lots of commentary tracks on later ones. But I'm definitely thinking we'll probably get a Frakes one on the episode Those Old Scientists. Now, the other episode titles, we have The Broken Circle, we have Ad Astra per Aspera, which is Latin for To the Stars Through Difficulties, assuming Google Translate is correct.
Yeah, or it's sometimes To the Stars Through Hardship.
Okay.
Or through adversity to the stars. It depends on which one you look at.
Yeah.
That's not my Latin.
It's the Starfleet motto from the Enterprise era Starfleet as well.
I was looking it
is
up.
It?
I believe. Like it's on the...
I know Ad Astra is.
Well, there's Starfleet Academy is Ad Astra...
Ex Astra Scientia, yeah.
From the Stars Science,
Yeah. This is used on the memorial at the Kennedy Space Center for the Apollo 1 astronauts, for Gus Grissom and Ed White and Roger Chaffee, who were killed in the Apollo 1 fires. So that could mean something bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or that could be the time travel episode with Kirk.
Oh. Oh. They could make the Apollo fire part of the story. Oh, you just raised the hair on my arms.
Yeah, seriously. I had we'd all been thinking that time travel episode that we know happens because they were filming in Toronto last year. We were all thinking that was going to take place in present day, but it could be sometime in present-ish day.
That could be, yeah.
The only question I would have there is, what does the surrounding area look like? We've seen a department store, which is pretty generic, but we haven't seen any images of outside, like where we could see cars or
that's fair.
Other people and how they're dressed. So that may very well be. It's just, they certainly had rotating doors in the 60s. So.
Yes. But not in space, apparently.
Apparently not in space, yeah.
Or Iowa.
Oh, yeah. We haven't been on since we talked about that. I'm from space. I mean, really? Really?
It didn't bother me at all. It doesn't mean... I don't think he's saying that he...
I know.
Yeah. I don't think he's saying he's not... Yeah, he came from space. It's not... Yeah. It's not saying that he was, he originated in space.
And I could see the line to Gillian Taylor being like his quippy self, like, no, I'm from Iowa. I only work in... I personally thought it would be kind of cool if, he says that line, I'm from space. And she's like, I thought you were from Iowa.
Yes.
And he's like,
That would
I
be
guess
good.
that's true. I only work in space.
That would be good, yeah.
It just occurred to me right now when you were saying that he would say that to Gillian Taylor to make her feel better about the situation.
That's also true.
Like, this is a place that exists now. All
Right.
And
I feel better about it then.
that squares better with the fact that he was most definitely not born in Iowa in the Kelvin movies.
Yes. And we don't know for the regular timeline, do we?
No. The fan theories vis-a-vis the Kelvin movies is that his mother went into premature labor because of the stress of that, and that the real timeline it probably was a couple weeks later in Iowa. But we don't know that for sure.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we went off on a thing there. So
and we also have tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, which is
Ooh, Macbeth. I like it.
Gotta have our Shakespeare reference there. Which do we think it's a time loop episode?
Could
be a time loop. Could be like Conscience of the King, where they use the the Shakespeare line for the title. I had forgotten that was a Shakespeare line until you mentioned that. I'm not up on my Shakespeare.
It's one of my favorite bits. I like that.
We are among the Lotus Eaters.
That
has an even older reference than Shakespeare.
It is the people in the Odyssey that were just eating narcotics and hanging out. So
sounds like a
that
good
could
time,
be interesting.
really.
I mean, to a point. You got to go do something at some point.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe it'll be like a TOS episode where they find a planet that's an idyllic fantasy and say, no, this is bad, and destroy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Got to have that American Protestant work ethic. I'm trying to think of places where we've seen that kind of an influence. And the first thing that came to mind was that the spores and the flowers in the TOS episode. I can't.
This Side of Paradise.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I was thinking there's Justice in TNG.
Okay.
Where they're it's happy idyllic as long as you don't enter the judgment zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going a little bit literal on the drug thing, but yeah, that's possible too.
There's the apple in TOS.
Yeah. The game, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, with the drugs.
I mean, from a narcotic standpoint, yeah.
Yeah. The Ornarans and Breckians, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. We have to remember to go back and see if we're right about any of this. Or even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have charades, which is always a fun party game.
Shenanigans.
If the entire episode was just them hanging out in Pike's quarters playing charades,
I would love
that.
I would love that episode. Uhura just gets the answer right away, all the time.
Oh, always, yeah. No, have you ever seen the Bob's Burgers episodes where they do storytelling and they act it out?
Yes. Always
I'm
great
just leaving
episodes.
that there. I just thought of that. I'm leaving it there. That would be fun.
Ah, that would be great.
But the problem with charades is sometimes things can be lost in translation, which is the title of the next episode.
Ooh, maybe it's a two-parter.
It's a two-parter. Yeah.
Great minds. There you go, Dan.
Great minds, yep.
Or we owe each other a Coke. I don't know. One of the two.
Something like that. It's great minds think alike and fools seldom differ is the full.
But fools are protected alongside Shipsnane Enterprise. So
there you go.
And I keep interrupting Thad. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Sorry.
Then, of course, the aforementioned... I'm just trying to, talk about Star Trek here.
Fine.
The aforementioned Those Old Scientists. And then after that, we have Under the Cloak of War, which I assume is the episode with the Klingons that we saw from the trailer.
Yes.
Could be, yeah.
Or
could be
it be
Romulans, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could be either.
No, I don't think it can be Romulans.
Why not?
Because Balance of Terror says it's the first time they encounter Romulans since the Romulan War.
Okay. And then we can run into them and somehow lose our memory about it, or run into them and time travel back 3 days, and so we don't know about it and it didn't actually happen,
Or the audience is the only one who knows it's the Romulans pulling the strings. And
excellent point.
The dramatic irony of that. Yeah.
In which case it could be both, the Klingons and the Romulans.
That could be. Early shenanigans between the Duras family and the Romulans.
Later.
Again with the Duras.
I suspect it's probably the Klingons, though.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
In addition to, we're talking about the cloak, the Romulans, Balance of Terror also establishes that they didn't have cloaks before. Now they might.
Yeah, but Enterprise established they did,
Oh,
too,
that's true.
So.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Both. Some of them
It's
had
56 years of continuity. What can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Ask James R. Kirk.
The United Earth Space Program Agency, yeah. If it is the Klingons, they're from the planet Kling, or is it Quonos?
And do they speak Klingonese?
And are they part of the Federation or not?
Oh, man.
Or is it just a treaty? Are they... yeah. Anyway.
Episode 9 is Subspace Rhapsody, which I really hope is a musical episode, but it probably won't be.
I do and I don't.
I'm exactly with you. I'm like, I both really hope it is, but also really hope it isn't, because I don't know. This is the selfish me talking. I don't want to have to defend this episode's existence for the rest of time.
You don't have to. There are episodes whose existence we don't defend. We just say that was an episode and we move on.
Yeah.
It's harder to
true.
do when there's only 20, but...
If there's a musical episode, I absolutely will defend its existence, though.
I know you will.
Unless it's Profit and Lace the musical.
Oh, goodness. If they did decide to take that step, I bet they'd do it really well. So,
I think
I'm not a huge fan of musicals, as I've said when this has come up before. But, if we have something along the lines of the quality of Hamilton, just to name a recent one that I actually enjoyed, then, and I think we would, they're not going to, when you only have 10 episodes, you can't toss a shitty one out like that.
Yes.
So it's going to be good no matter what they do. Yeah. I don't know.
Star Trek episode written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I would be behind that for sure.
That's a whole other issue. Yeah. Well, they did say, where did we hear it? It was Anson Mount that said there was one episode that took longer than all of the rest to film, and there was a great deal of rehearsal involved in it.
This is
which
more and more
like
evidence for a musical episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I know this is the Hail Mary, but, a Lin-Manuel Miranda episode, I know he's a huge West Wing fan, and that Venn diagram has quite a bit of crossover.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I'm also a huge West Wing fan.
There you go.
I don't know if Lin-Manuel Miranda has ever publicly talked about Star Trek. I honestly am not sure.
I'm not sure either. I feel like he might have, but I can't think of...
Now... That said, I'm sure he would absolutely be willing to write an episode of Star Trek if they pay him for it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we would have heard about it.
I think so,
that'd
too.
That'd be a hell of a secret to keep. But
it would, yes. The existence of a musical episode would be one thing to keep a secret, but...
Somebody of that fame.
Yeah. They would have wanted to publicize that.
Yeah.
And the 10th episode of season 3 of Strange New Worlds is Hegemony, which presumably means that's going to be another Gorn episode.
Yeah. Since they have referred to them as that.
Yes. So, have they actually referred to them as that on the show? Or are we, as book readers, all saying that?
I don't know. Let's ask Memory Alpha.
Yeah, that's a good question.
No, they are referred to as the Gorn Hegemony in Bound.
Okay.
That's right. I remember that now too. Yeah. the Orion guys, this drink is very popular in the Gorn hegemony or something.
I can't say that Bound is an episode I go back to very often.
I have not done an Enterprise rewatch in a while, and I need to do that so that I can do that and then listen to friend of the show, First Flight Pod. So that's been my plan for a while, but time.
Yes, I've been meaning to listen to First Flight Pod as well. Shout out to everyone on First Flight who apparently listens to every one of our episodes. I'm sorry that I don't listen to yours. It totally will happen someday.
The only reason I haven't is because I want to listen to it in connection with a rewatch. Because I have only seen Enterprise all the way through twice. Once when it aired, and once, like 10 years ago, I did a rewatch. So I want to be able to really appreciate what they're talking about.
Speaking of Enterprise podcasts, I've been hearing good things, though I have not listened to the podcast that Connor Trinneer and Dominic Keating do, the Shuttlepod Show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it either.
I have not listened to it, but I have the one with Stashwick queued up in my queue to listen to at some point. No offense if either one of them listens to us. Please do,
Yeah, Connor or Dominic, if you listen to our podcast, absolutely let us know. Anyway, we are 42 minutes into recording, so let's talk about the book.
That's an idea. We have to make up for lost time. There's been a few weeks here.
Yeah. All right, so this book came out in the end of February. Which is good timing for me because I was able to take it on the Star Trek cruise and read it a bit there. This is the first Strange New Worlds novel, technically the first. I sort of think that the Discovery novel, The Enterprise War, is sort of spiritually the first Strange New Worlds novel.
Yeah.
Especially since it was written by the same guy who wrote this one.
That helps.
Yeah, John Jackson Miller, whom I think I have probably gone on record on this podcast saying before, is one of my favorite Star Trek authors. I have not read a single John Jackson Miller novel that I didn't love. He writes he writes good, adventurous stories, and he ties them into existing things in Star Trek in ways that you do not expect and that turn out really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly true in this one. Totally went in a direction that I should have been expecting, but wasn't.
No.
So.
Yeah, same. I was definitely thinking about the similarities to North Star, which is one of my favorite Enterprise episodes. But I was not expecting it to be literally the same as North Star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was doing exactly the same thing. I was reading this thinking this is familiar somehow, and then North Star popped in my head. I was like, oh, it's kind of similar to that. And then you turn the page to the next chapter and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah,
because early in the
really
book,
like that.
Pike even remembers, when he talks to the Gagarin on Earth about it, and you're like, oh, that's a neat little reference to North Star. And then, wow, okay. Interestingly, I listened to a few interviews with John Jackson Miller before recording this podcast. Shout out to Dan's podcast, Positively Trek. They had a great interview with him on that. And he mentioned that one of his difficulties when writing this is that they never name the planet in North Star.
I never realized that.
Mm-hmm.
Which does sort of make me wonder how and in what ways are they constrained by what's on screen and what they're allowed to make up. Because, he adds a whole bunch of backstory, but apparently he can't name the planet they go to in North Star.
Yeah.
It's an interesting...
You'd think they just...
Yeah. I just wonder... Yeah. It's interesting to... I'd love to see a list of the guidelines on what you can and cannot do when writing tie-in Star Trek novels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because... I guess in a very minor way it would affect the events of that episode. But then again, there are more substantive effects retroactively on the events of that episode, given what's revealed in this novel.
Like, this changes the entire backstory.
Yeah, so more so than, like, a name would, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, one of the cool things, and the reason, the big reason why I bought the hardcover, well, one, because I'll probably get it signed at a con, but also, this has maps in it, and obviously, yes, the maps would be in the ebook. In fact, even if you buy the audiobook, you get a link to a PDF to see the maps.
That's nice.
When it comes to books with maps, it's always easiest to have a paper book where you can flip back and forth.
That is absolutely true, whether you're reading fiction or in history.
Yes. Oh, yeah, with reference books, I pretty much always want them to be paper for that exact reason.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It has a map in the beginning of each section telling you what's happening in those places. Now, the interesting thing on this is the maps probably wouldn't have happened if we didn't have a paper shortage last year.
He said as much.
Yeah. Because he had time. Because all of Simon Schuster's books were pushed back by 3 months last year because of the paper shortage. So John Jackson Miller had time to get the maps done to add to the book. Also, for the same reason, and something I definitely noticed when reading it, the text is pretty darn small. And that's also because there was a paper shortage. It's interesting. This is actually longer in word count than John Jackson Miller's last novel, Rogue Elements, the card novel, but it has fewer pages.
That's like the opposite of what students try to do when they're sending in paper stream.
12.7 font.
Yeah. 2 1/3 spacing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
4-inch margins.
That's a little. You notice that. 1 1/4 you can get away with. Anymore, I don't know about other teachers, but I'm grading everything electronically, so I just automatically set it to what it's supposed to be. And,
nice.
Well, I do word count now.
I also love, like, even back in the day when they weren't submitted electronically, you got to imagine, I mean, who's not realizing that their professor or the teacher is looking at 100 of these and can pretty quickly see?
Yeah. Like, even if it's your first semester teaching, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if all the students do it, then they're not going to notice.
That is true. If
So
all the
if they-
students have
if they-
13 font and
if
1.1 in
Yeah,
margins.
if all the students organize together and... but no, you'll have that
Solidarity forever.
you'll have that one narc that won't do it, and then yep.
But then they look like the odd one out.
Like,
So
why did you made your
Why's your
text
font so
smaller?
anyway,
Anyway,
Sorry.
yes.
we digress.
Before we get too far into it, Dan, what did you think of this book?
I really enjoyed this one. This, for a number of reasons. It's just like the adventure of it. John Jackson Miller weaves a yarn that is just fun to read, right? And then all the little continuity connections that you're not expecting, and not in a way that are like, over the top or overtly call attention to themselves, but ones that just make sense to the story.
Yeah.
Like, even the Vulcans who show up later in the novel, and you find out they're from this ship that defected from the Vulcan High Command because during the invasion of Andoria in season 4 of Enterprise, and you're like, oh, that's cool. I love that stuff. I eat that up.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, overall, I loved it.
That was probably my favorite part of the book, is when Pike says, "It's the Vulcan Navy."
That That was great. Yeah.
Chrissy, what'd you think?
Oh, I really enjoyed it as well. I really putting Pike in a Western. Pike has always belonged in a Western, but since now we have Anson Mount, who really became well known because of being the lead in a Western, I'm loving any opportunity we have to put Pike in that situation, and then to make all of these connections and it makes sense, and then it totally flips the story on its head with what was going on, and it makes sense, and I love it. And you get all of the stuff with Uhura and the Empatherm. I love that name, by the way. I mean, that's serious character building in a writer's sense, building a character, but also you can see it character building for her, to use a phrase that I actually generally don't like using, but it works here. and Pike with his past romances and all that, or would-be romance, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think they had been a romance before, but yes. Right. I think there was definite... There were definite feelings there, but I don't think they had ever...
romanced?
Yeah, because they talked about how they had sort of drifted apart as they got older.
Yeah.
It kind of sounded like everyone around them just assumed they were, and they were like, yeah, we never did. We were just friends kind of thing, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I loved the book. Just from start to finish, I had so much fun reading it. It just continue the thing. He tells a very compelling, very good story. I have yet to read anything by John Jackson Miller and been disappointed. This one, I was expecting to like it from the beginning, but I think he wrote Die Standing, which is the novel about Mira Georgiou, and I was not expecting to get into that book. I'm like, I don't think I really even want to read this book, but I started reading it, and it pulled me in because he just told a really good story, even about Mira Georgiou, who I didn't care about.
I loved all the Roman references in that, you might have guessed.
Oh, yes.
But I also love the fact, because when that came out on the podcast with Brandon and Justin, we talked to him, and he's one of the few people I have encountered just in life in general who knows where the handle I use for everything comes from, the goddess Livia. He was like, oh, Robert Graves, I Claudius. And I'm like, cool. This is wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, so I give him props for that, in addition to everything else.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know that.
It's okay. Most people don't.
I assumed it was a Roman reference of some kind.
For those who don't know, since I brought it up, Livia was the second wife of the Emperor Augustus, and she was deified by her grandson Claudius when he was emperor. Robert Graves, in his novel I Claudius, and in the show that was done later that starred Patrick Stewart for some episodes, makes it that she begs of Claudius to make her a goddess because she's afraid she's going to burn in hell because all of the murders to put her family in line for the throne and everything. So that's, poetic license, fictionalization, but she was deified and she did have a cult, and it's pretty damn cool. Anyway.
Yeah, and I knew who she was because I watched the HBO series Rome.
Oh, yeah. She's not great in that. Nor is she great in the what was the one from a few years ago? Domina. I did not like her characterization in that either. I didn't like the characterization of anybody in that, but that's another thing entirely. So, Captain Pike, yeah.
Yes. Captain Pike, who is not Roman. Yeah, so this story, it strings you along and keeps the mystery, but not in a way that you're getting frustrated by not knowing. It tells you, it drops enough little nuggets throughout that you are slowly building the story until you know what's happening at the end. And I think that works really well. I like that we get our characters spread out, so we get what's happening with Pike, but then we also learn a lot more about the backstory of the Skagarans on this planet through Una's viewpoint. And we learn about the Empatherms through Uhura. And we learn absolutely nothing from Spock.
He gets sunburned easily. Or didn't he get sunburned?
Well, no, I was just saying, because Spock
easily.
disappears after his first chapter until the Vulcan Navy shows up, because we wanted that to be a surprise. But I was definitely starting to wonder. I'm like, okay, we're like halfway through the book, and like we haven't done a Spock chapter. What happened to Spock?
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed because I totally forgot about him until the Vulcans showed up. And I was like, Spock!
Yeah. Because there's like one mini chapter right ahead of that where those people find him and they put him in a cage on the beach.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe that's discussed after. I can't remember.
That's discussed after.
It's discussed after. Okay.
You get him waking up in the water and like grabbing a fishing line and getting pulled out of the water and then getting wrapped on the head, and that's it.
Okay, so that's what I'm thinking of, and then he wakes up and they put me on the beach to give me to these people because they thought that I belonged with them.
Well, they were right. I mean,
they were right. No, I'm not disputing that. I just love how he described it.
Yeah, this entire world is fascinating. It's interesting to see because it is obviously dystopian, but it is not wholly dystopian. It's also utopian for a lot of the people. Not all of the people, but a lot of the people on this planet. This life actually works, and it's interesting to see that. I like the gray area of we don't just straight up see that it's bad, and if we didn't, I mean, I think what it comes down to is choice. The people have to have the choice to do. Yeah. It's the same thing as the DS9 episode.
Paradise, yeah.
Yes, Paradise.
I had a lot of the same thoughts, yeah.
I was about to say Paradise Lost, and I'm like, nope.
That's a different one. Yeah, I was also about to say Paradise Lost. That's why I was like, wait, no, that's that other episode. And it's just a really fascinating story to figure out, to have these people whose people had destroyed their planet through industry, who are now building a new planet without industry because they don't want their planet to be destroyed. Okay, interesting. But then you add in the wrinkle of them going around and abducting other people to add to their planet. It's just fascinating.
That's funny because I recently rewatched the first couple episodes of Strange New Worlds with a friend who hadn't seen them yet. And I started thinking of, like, in that first episode when Pike is explaining to that planet, this is what my world went through, and if you continue down this path, you're likely to go through that too, and we're giving you the choice. That's kind of almost like how the Skagarans are operating here, where they're saying, like, we went through this, we want to ensure that the people we rescue don't go through that either. The difference being they're not giving them the choice. Right. They're saying, no, we're imposing this kind of thing. So I was just recently struck by the similarities there, like very tenuous similarities, but still I was like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's interesting how bureaucratic they are about it too. Like, we've got the book with all the things that are permitted and are not permitted, and it's
that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Like, this type of knot did exist when these people were abducted, but it was not used in that town, so it cannot be used, and things like that. It's just like, wow, that is.
But if you go to a different community made up of different people, they were at a different level, so they can have this, but not that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so they can trade.
But they're not allowed to trade either.
I know. I know. It's just...
And I really like that it's definitely implied that like every community has their people that are working behind the scenes with stuff that they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. Well, otherwise, why bother with the Sari?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But also, why bother with the Sari at all? The entire, like, the planet cannot have electronic devices. So, yes, it's theoretically possible that you could destroy a planet with industry without modernized but, like, it would take a lot.
It would just take longer.
It would think about a very long time, yeah. Yeah, I guess if we were stuck in the 19th century forever, yeah, we would still be putting a lot of carbon in the atmosphere. But,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And by making them afraid of fire, that's certainly not happening.
Yeah, that was strange.
Well, it makes sense if you're on a planet where your entire life, if somebody does something wrong, fire comes down and burns everything around them. You're gonna be afraid of fire. That's perfectly rational.
So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's been a few months since I read it, and it was during the school year and all that. Did they ever get into how they heat things if everyone's afraid of fire? How do they cook? How do they...
Not really. I assume they do actually use small fires for those things.
I did too, because I don't know, if you're not allowing for technology and you're not allowing for electronics, then there is no other way to do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they're probably the safest, gas stoves imaginable.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I feel like they used combustion, but, like...
They'd have to.
Not... Yeah, exactly. But not in a mechanized way. It was... how did we put it in our episode? It was like steampunk, but without the steam.
I like that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and I liked how part of the world building for that was we had Uhura come across that farm where the people who had come from China had built their had built their was it a rice picker? I'm not sure. It was some sort of farming equipment, automated farming equipment that...
I feel like it was a rice picker because of the reference in City of Ninja Forever.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah.
And they had gotten destroyed by the Sari because of it. I thought that was a neat little touch to see that. And all of this is, feels weird, but can be sort of excused given their backstory, etc. Until you also realize that the Sari themselves are sentient creatures that are being forced to do this.
Yeah.
Nice twist.
Mm-hmm.
It has a double commentary on slavery, which is quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved, and I mean, obviously really jumping around, but like when that realization is made and they're flying the ship with the cooperation, basically, of the Sari, and the enslavers are like, how are you doing that? I love that kind of bit of meta commentary there that, let's ally and work together and towards a common goal rather than what they've been doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because it has also been a couple months since I read the book. Didn't they get a lot more energy out of one willing Sari than out of multiple
I think so,
coerced Sari?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I say, Star Trek is not political commentary at all.
No. When did Star Trek get political and woke? What?
They all end up in different places. I enjoy. Pike ends up at the farm with the McGees, and very convenient. He ends up with people that are part of the resistance, or the Menders, as it were.
Yeah.
I love these guys.
Oh yeah, they're great.
They're like that group of people that you could see totally realized, like I'm trying to think of an example, like Captain America's sidekicks back in World War II, like just that motley group that like each has their own kind of quirk.
I was getting vibes of the Lone Gunman from maybe X-Files.
Oh yeah, yeah. I could see
Right.
that totally.
But without the crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. I love that they're all on board with everything. They're so excited to meet someone from space. And that the very poor attempt at kidnapping Pike.
That was great. That was a part of the book where I was like, oh no, real danger. Oh, and then like a page later, you're like, okay.
When they have to go get a chair to put him on, yeah, it's like, oh, okay, no, these aren't these are not criminal.
I see where this is going. That was wonderful.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because of the interest that's been shown to Pike, they find the powers that be find out about all the dastardly things like printing presses and cameras that they've been doing behind the scenes. So,
Damn printing presses. Get you every time.
well, I mean, is there anything more radical in the world than a printing press, honestly?
Oh, that's a beautiful sentiment, and it's true. Yeah.
So, yeah, it all gets burned up and they get arrested, and so Pike breaks him out and they go on a quote-unquote wagon train to space.
Yes.
One of my absolute favorite lines in the novel, the guy yells out, "It's a wagon train to space!" And Pike, in his internal monologue, says, "Well, that's not the way I would have put it, but that works."
Yeah, and apparently John Jackson Miller said that he did that because there's no way they would have let him say wagon train to the stars.
Yeah.
But, yeah, people know. Yeah.
So then we get this cool sequence where they're fleeing across the country being pursued and
getting like airdropped stuff from the Enterprise.
Is airdropping them supplies and weapons
via
and things.
parachute.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, because can't use technology.
Oh, it was wonderful.
The best part, yeah, and it makes perfect sense. They send down a perfectly detailed map. That solved a lot of problems.
Yeah. Yeah. They're allowed to have paper.
Well, they end up stuck on a peninsula, and it looks like things are not going to go their way now, and the cavalry or the navy show up, and we get Vulcans in ancient Chinese sailing vessels and a 18th century British man of war
flying an Idic flag.
Yes.
That was chef's kiss.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That was one of the ones where like the chapter ends, and so many chapters in this novel, they're just written perfectly to make you, well, I have to see what's happening next. I have to read the next chapter. But the flag, he says he looks up and sees a flag with a familiar circle and triangle or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, for the life of me, I was like, I have no idea what that could be. Flip the page and I'm like, okay. I am in love with this book officially.
It's the Vulcan Navy. And I think he even says, like, I can't believe I'm saying this or something like that. But yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing. And we get a lot of backstory because the Vulcans have been here for 100 years. So it turns out the Vulcans have been... the Vulcans checked out one of the Rangers, which are the tools that the Skagarians used to communicate throughout the world and send out their edicts and whatnot. And immediately decided we're going to have none of that. and just took to the seas and shot down any airship that came near them. So like they didn't even know where
they gave them
were.
a Vulcan hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. They became self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm. And here's where we finally get some more backstory and some interesting story that challenges some of the narrative we had before. Mm-hmm. Is the Vulcans take them to visit an old person who is the species known as the Stru, which are one of the species on the planet, and one of the Menders is also a Stru. And the Vulcans had rescued this person years ago and never been able to talk to them because they didn't have a common language, so they just, given them food and whatnot. And we find out that this Stru is from a group from very long ago who were apparently there before the Skagarans. That was a bit of a bombshell there, because even the modern Stru people thought that the Skagarans had brought them there. Mm-hmm. And we find out that, no, they're the native species on this planet, which is...
Yeah. I thought that was a really interesting revelation. Yeah. And I love the way the book is structured, that, you learn these things as the characters are kind of learning them and piece it together. And because at the beginning of the novel, you really are cast adrift, like the characters, and you're like trying to kind of make sense of this world, and things aren't adding up. It logically doesn't seem to make sense in your head. And then, as you learn more, it kind of pieces itself together, and you get this kind of, oh, okay, this is the actual history versus, what the leading faction is trying to, present it as, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where we really start to, we start to see some more on the backstory on Lila Tally, who we knew had come here on the other ship that had crashed and had been raised as a Luddite. And apparently, technically we learn this later in the book, but we're not, whatever.
It's all done with it.
We learned that she had basically betrayed the crew of the ship that she was on, because she viewed that she thought that this place is the greatest thing in the world because it can keep people safe, because she's got trauma from the Klingon War, because all the people in the Luddite colony that she grew up in had moved to a colony in space to be safe and had been destroyed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She is very unsympathetic for a while, and then you find that out and you go, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And you actually realize what's behind it. Now, you still are, she's still wrong, but at least you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a nice touch that they had the Skagaran who had been on that ship there, who was a Skagaran who had met Jonathan Archer back in North Star.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, yeah. She was one of the, one of the students at the makeshift school, right? Yeah. That the woman was teaching. I can't remember her name now, but
I can't either, but one of the ones from the end of the episode when they
right.
Yeah, that's a good episode of Star Trek. I should rewatch that.
It is a good episode, yeah. I thought the ceremonies, whatever, I don't remember what they were called. I took to calling them masses in my head because that's what it felt like.
I forget what they were called as well.
Yeah, where they get everybody together to remind them of the propaganda, I guess you could say. I thought that was really interesting, and I love the way the McGees are put in opposition with that, because you have this guy who he's stopped going to services, and so he's stopped hearing the story over and over again, and he's not being indoctrinated in the same way on a regular basis, and that's actually a good thing because it's allowing him to think beyond that. And I'm sure he didn't intend a commentary on religion either, but it was.
I was going to say, definitely nothing political in this book at all.
No.
They called it a jubilee, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Which was a strange term for something that happened on a fairly regular basis to me, but that's just me.
I think they were saying it only happened once a year.
Well, I thought they had the services like once a month. Or maybe I'm confusing it.
But we're also on a planet with very short years, so...
Oh, that's a point.
Oh, that's true, too, yeah. My brain, I remember now when I heard Jubilee, I was like, for some reason, my brain went to the festival in the Red Owl in
yes.
Return of the Archons. I was like, oh, okay, it's not quite like that.
Festival!
Stop worshipping Landru.
Yeah.
But I just bought a new scythe.
Yeah. Oh, we need a book that picks up on that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting that if you think the ruling elite live in their fancy building with not technically fancy technology, but they have Sari-powered elevators, and it's like, do as I say, not as I do, sort of thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Standard operating procedure of every ruling class in human history.
True.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But again, not political at all.
No.
And the fact that they arrest all of their dissidents and throw them away in an underground asylum, not political at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Certainly. I can't see any kind of weird parallels or anything there.
I find it fascinating. Like, it's like that they don't check on them at all. They just lock them away and like give them food, but they never like actually like check to make sure anyone's there or whatever. They're just, it works well for our protagonist. They were able to escape.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that there's no system in place for them to like keep track of their prisoners.
No.
Well, it sounds like they don't need to have many prisoners. You get the impression that that's the group, and they kind of don't care if they live or die, so...
Yeah.
Well, they care, but, they're not gonna go out of their way to prevent them from dying, let's say that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I love how the guy in charge is named Draco, because he's got all of his draconian laws. That's a beautifully obvious one, but still good. The prince who doesn't want his job...
Solarius.
The mountain man. That was good.
Kind of love that guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's great.
I would love to see, like, if this were realized as an episode or something, like, I'd love to see that transformation of, like, the mountain man, and then he cleans up and becomes a prince, and I don't know. I would have liked to have... I'd be curious who you'd cast in that role to like sufficiently make Una go like, whoa, like when he cleans up nice kind of thing. It'd be interesting.
Bear Grylls from a decade ago.
There you go.
Hugh Jackman.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see Mountain Man to clean up, I can show you pictures of my father when he was dressed up for his reenactments, and then what he looked like when he went into work every day at General Motors. So, in the 3-piece suit in the 80s. Anyway.
Now I'm trying to think of different actors that would work for this. Yeah.
I think Jackman's a good choice.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman. If it were any other show, I would say Anson Mount, but obviously
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think when I was reading this, I had kind of the same thought. I was like, well, that won't work.
Because we've seen him do that transformation on Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And on Hell on Wheels. Although he didn't cut his hair on Hell on Wheels, but... Yeah.
So...
God, I can't think of anything. Okay.
I also really enjoyed that once they find out that that Lila is going to try to expand the field, and they find out that that's gonna like kill everyone in the galaxy.
Oh gods, yeah, I totally forgot about.
So they
It's
need
only
to
a
stop
major
that.
plot point.
They need to. They kind of need to stop that. But I like that as they're looking at the map and plotting things out. And the Vulcans show them the Vulcans. It just they're like, well, we need to go up here and talk to those people. Like, well, they've always talked to the Vulcans, but they're probably not gonna like betray the Skagarans or anything. But then just happenstance, Pike happens to see the fishing lures that they make, and notices that they're all exactly the same.
Yeah, the like factory symmetry of all of them.
These people have some sort of machine going on making this, and I and that's how he knows. Oh, we can talk to these people. We can, and that's where we get the idea that there's probably a group like this in every single town on this planet where they have the secret technology, because people are gonna want to innovate. It's just how we do things.
Yeah, and I thought that revelation was well done as well. Another one that's kind of hidden from us for a little bit until the big reveal, but it was satisfying reveal for sure.
Oh, I knew what it was gonna be as soon as he started asking questions about those fishing lures. I'm like, I know what this is.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea of somebody forcing their ideologies, again, not political at all, and working against that. And it's interesting because there is so much Trek that's about, like, how do I want to put it, like, preventing the one ideology or the bad ideology, however you want to put it, from overtaking other people. I'm not explaining that well, but there are so many times that the Federation could be argued to be the one who's forcing their ideology on.
Oh yeah,
on the people who are coming into it or who are dealing with them. So it's always interesting to see, as often as it is done, the whole thing of, you can't force your ideology on them, but we're going to come in and give them work or whatever.
Your God is wrong. You must make love.
Yes, exactly. That was a pretty good impression.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was a good impression of somebody doing a bad impression.
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah.
It was a good impression of a Shatner impression.
Exactly.
Because I could definitely tell what you were trying to do.
Yeah. I would give you a little more credit than that, but okay.
I appreciate it. I feel like it was like an impression of Kevin Pollak doing an impression of Shatner or something like that.
Oh, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Right.
I remember he used to have a podcast. He may still, for all I know, where he would just interview various celebrities.
Every comedian that had a podcast after 2004, 2005 was just ripping off what Mark Maron was doing with WTF. So.
Well, yeah.
I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
So we talked about how they were dropping stuff, and eventually they drop Hemmer.
Yes, I was just about to get to that. Yeah, awesome. we get to the planet where they make, or not planet, the town where they make the fishing lures, and it's up in the frozen north. And yeah, they drop Hemmer in a capsule. Because he's going to help them build a giant sled on the ice.
Yep.
That was wonderful.
It was.
Though everything with Hemmer in this too, he was such a delight, especially, of course.
It makes me so sad because he was also a delight on the show, and he's gone now.
And it's one of those things, like in the novel too, there's some moments where he like builds this thing and basically races it. And I don't think he says this quite exactly, but kind of gets the sentiment across like, I've done this, I can die happy now. And I'm like, oh wait. Oh.
He has fixed that which is broken, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like it. He does make a comment about the winter weather. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so now they are crossing the ice on a giant sled made out of a man of war.
Was it powered by the horses? Was that?
Yes, there are horses inside running and turning a gear.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Literal horsepower.
That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I thought they had a sail too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did also.
They talked about using a sail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like an Andorian sail sledge or something. I can't remember the name of it, but something like that, yeah.
Thunderer 2, NCC 170-180. Although, technically, the original Thunderer was commissioned later than 1701. As Spock points out to Pike.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I love how much of Earth history Spock just knows.
Well, he's half human.
Because, yeah.
Well, that's when Pike pulls out the poetic license.
The Broken Circle as an episode title. I'm sure that's going to be about, like, Una's trial and getting put back into her position, but bringing somebody back from the dead could be a broken circle.
I completely forgot that would have to be a plot point at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, there could be somebody brought back to life in Through the Stars Through Difficulties, or...
Yeah, but we already have another chief engineer, so...
I know, I'm just being...
I don't think that's going to happen.
A bit ridiculous.
Well, the Cerritos already had another chief security officer. That's fine.
That's
true. He'll fight somebody on the Black Mountain, and...
That's a very good point, yeah. Oh my god, Hemmer's going to come back in the Lower Decks episode, because they'll be like, why didn't you just send him to the Black Mountain?
I love it.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
So,
but everything Hemmer in this novel, I just ate up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, just like everything Hemmer in the show, I also just ate up. He was one of my favorite characters.
I think they did not expect him to be that popular.
I'm excited. Unfortunately, by the time this podcast has come out, it will have already happened. So sorry if you didn't know it was happening. But I'm going to Trek Long Island this weekend, and Bruce Horrick is going to be there. So I'm excited to get to see him.
Awesome.
That's cool. He's going to be in a fairly local convention in Vulcan, Alberta. Vulcan.
Oh, I've heard about Vulcan.
I love Vulcan.
Yeah, in the summer. So I was suggesting they should get him for Calgary Expo. He's from Calgary, but
cool.
They didn't do that, unfortunately.
I've heard of Vulcan. I've considered it a couple times, but it's so far to go.
It really is. If you ever do, though, I will make a special effort to go meet you there.
We'll have a meetup.
Yeah, it's just when, if I'm traveling so far for a Star Trek convention, STOV has way more actors.
Yeah, and I mean, Vulcan, Alberta does not have an international airport. So you're traveling quite a ways and then driving a good distance as well after.
I'll just fly near you and carpool. It'll be fine.
Oh no! I'm like 9 hours away. You want to fly to Calgary?
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm literally looking this up to see how far it is from where I'm.
My city also does not have an international airport.
I forget how big Canada is.
Yeah.
All right. So, back to the book.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
We have the final confrontation with all sorts of things happening. We have airships, we have fighting, we have people getting transported into space in giant glass elevators. The usual stuff.
There is a lot going on at the end of this novel.
And it basically...
But it all comes together.
Yeah, and we find out that the existence of the Baffle and the Rangers and are all there because the Sari, who we already established were sentient, had we're from another dimension, and we're using this dimension to take their power so they could power themselves. And they choose to basically sacrifice themselves to save this galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a very Star Trek message in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Both that they kind of learned that they shouldn't be taking the energy, and then the way that they can atone for that.
Yeah. Well, they were also, when they realized that there were other people on the planet, they did limit how much energy they were taking deliberately.
That's true. Yeah.
Not hurt them, but they were also still preventing any technological development on this planet by doing that. So,
yeah, and it's an interesting way that that's set up.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
And we end up finding the Skagaran homeworld and learn that it is still messed up, which I thought was interesting because it would have been easy for them to tie it up and just say, oh, and it turns out they invented these technologies that cleaned up their atmosphere and saved everything, and no, they didn't.
Yeah.
It's still a wasteland.
They teched their way out of it, and
they did not have the microbe that cleans the atmosphere that was found by Rene Picard.
I did really like that so many of the things got wrapped up in this novel, like things that you wouldn't expect.
For
them
half
to
a second,
necessarily...
I thought you were going to say you did really like Picard season 2.
Oh, no. No.
It has good
Nothing further.
things in it.
It does, yeah. Yeah. But visiting Vulcan at the end of this and the like redemption of the Vulcan captain. I thought that was
how they were like, yeah, you're still commissioned, so we can still order you. I'm like,
yeah, good luck with that. Okay.
And they set up Lila Tally with a ranch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was interesting. It was a neat way to tie that up.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciated that, like, there was nothing left to wonder about. It really told you what happened with everybody. It was like the 80s movie with the freeze frame on people, and it says the text at the bottom, what happened with the rest of their life.
Or Return of the King, where they give you, 6 different endings.
I was thinking of that, too.
Well, I mean, Tolkien gave 6 different endings. Give more.
Well, Tolkien gave like 7 different endings. They got rid of one of the endings for the movie. They didn't include the Scouring of the Shire at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'd forgotten about that. Anyway, okay.
But yeah, I really liked that they wrapped it all up in a nice little bow, but not in a and everybody lived happily ever after the end. But they actually told us this is what happened. I really I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want more. I hope we get more Strange New Worlds novels. I hope we get more novels in general.
Yeah.
We're getting a Discovery novel at the end of this month. Dayton Ward.
That's right. Yeah.
And that is that's the only Simon & Schuster Star Trek book that is slated to come out so far.
Mm-hmm.
Titan is doing the autobiography of Captain Sisko later this year.
Yeah. That's out in October, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Thereabouts.
But there are no Simon & Schuster, for the first time since, I don't know, 1980-something? 1970-something? There are no Star Trek novels, at least announced, from Simon & Schuster. And I'm going to be really sad if this is the end.
Yeah. We don't need to trade one for the other. Yeah, we can have novels and we can still have the new Trek as well.
Yeah, especially
Absolutely,
because right here we're getting tie novels to the shows that are happening. But
Just
also,
like before.
So with the complete lack of announcements, it's getting more and more frustrating. I had been thinking, oh, well, maybe they aren't going to do any more legacy or too many legacy books anymore. They're mostly just going to focus on the new shows, which is in and of itself annoying, but okay. Mm-hmm. But there's been nothing. Mm-hmm. And yes, we know, as we mentioned earlier, there was the paper shortage that delayed a lot of books, but that's over and done, and regardless, even if there is a delay, they can still announce, oh, this book is coming in late 2023 or in 2024. Mm-hmm. But we've got nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The paper shortage would not have been preventing people from writing.
Right.
You know.
Now, I do wonder if some of this is because Paramount was trying to sell Simon & Schuster, and that deal fell through. Mm-hmm. Because I can't remember, was it specifically not was it the FTC that said they couldn't, or did the deal just fall through? I can't remember now.
I don't remember, but I know there was an issue because it was Random House that was going to buy him, right?
Right, which would have
that would have created a monopoly.
Well, I mean,
no,
yeah,
would have made already them practically even, is.
Yeah, would have made them even bigger monopoly than they are already. Yeah,
yeah. So I don't remember if it was stopped or if it just didn't happen, but that could have delayed a lot. The way things are now, you don't have to have paper to publish a book. Mm-hmm. Now, I like a paper book. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have hard copy books, any of that, but you can release a book electronically.
And Simon & Schuster have released several novellas electronically. And you'd think if there is an issue with physical books, they'd, ramp that section of the business up a bit while this is lulling. But again, just the fact that there's nothing is scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is very unusual. Just in the process of looking at that, I pulled up the Prodigy novels. They are not available electronically. That is weird.
Anyway, I don't know what's happening with Simon & Schuster, but don't hold your breath for new Star Trek books.
Yep.
Yeah. That said, Titan Books, the Sisko autobiography, edited, inverted commas, by Derek Tyler Attico. Mm-hmm. I am so excited about that.
Yeah.
He wrote some of my favorite Star Trek short stories in the Strange New Worlds collections. Mm-hmm. Really, really good. Alpha and Omega was the grand prize winner in, I want to say, 8, maybe. That's just a guess. But he wrote that, and it's an incredible story. And then he did a really great Benny Russell story in the one-off, I think it was 2016. They redid the Strange New Worlds competition just for that 1 year.
Yeah.
And it was one of the winners. I can't remember what it placed, but it was one of the top ones in that book too. It was really good.
Yeah, I know him from the Shore Leave convention in Maryland. He goes there every year. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's wonderful. I'm very excited to get to talk to him about this book.
Cool. I don't know if I've read anything by him, but sounds like I need to go find it.
And if Simon & Schuster ever wants to, especially now since they're not publishing new books, if they want to, keep making money, they could make audio versions of their existing books. Surely that costs less than getting a whole new book made.
I would assume.
Anyway, this book was great. I really hope we get more.
Hear, hear.
That's really all I can say on that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Echo all of those comments, absolutely.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this book with us.
And everything else.
And literally everything else. Where can listeners find you online? Do you have any projects you want to mention?
Well, the main thing, of course, is the Positively Trek podcast. You can find that positivelytrek.com. It's a general Star Trek podcast coming out every couple of weeks, talking about anything news-wise in the Star Trek universe. We also do a book club episode, which has been a little sparse lately. It's
just like the books,
as the books have been. We have a ton of comics actually to catch up on by the sounds of it. We need to do those at some point. But yeah, that's the main thing I'm doing right now. I also have my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kertrats Productions. That's Kertrats. General Star Trek videos and musings and thoughts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, definitely worth subscribing.
Oh, thank you. New videos coming soon, I promise. I say that a lot.
Chrissie, where can people find you when you are not forcing people not to use technology?
That would not be me, but that's all right. Right, so in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the BQN. Back this week, actually, by the time, listeners, that you hear this, we will have been back a week already. And that is that twice weekly short history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. Also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter at The Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Thad, where can people find you when you're not trying to reinvent the printing press?
Best place to find me is on Twitter, which I presumably managed to figure out that printing press and a whole bunch of other things if I managed to get Twitter going.
Yeah.
And I'm at Tyrannicus. That's Tyranicus. You can also hear me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel. That's Licence, like the British or Canadians spell it. Spiel is spelled like everyone spells Spiel, Spiel. And we talk about James Bond and James Bond adjacent things. We are still making our way through the Mission Impossible series. I believe we hope to have all the episodes for the Mission Impossible movies that have currently been out in time for the next installment, which is coming out this summer.
I forgot about that, yeah. And don't forget all of our other great shows on BQN podcasts, like Galaxy Class, All Good Things, Union Federation, What's the T-Bev, Trexpert's Quiz, The Captain's Couch, Bargain Bin Gamer, Mickey's Marvels, and the aforementioned History with the Szilagys.
Boy, what a mouthful.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. The network's growing.
And we've got another one coming very soon.
I was about to say that, yeah. Right, so, and then also exclusively for the Patreon members, there's It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moment. And then just announced today that we are recording this. Yeah, and Cinema Z is going to be a podcast looking at movies with Mark White, Matt Jennings, and Laz Marquez. They're going to drop episodes. The first episode's going to be dropped on Patreon for 2 weeks before it's available for everyone else. I don't know if they're going to be following that going forward, but it's certainly a reason to hop on a Patreon and put in that $5 for us. And they're going to be looking at Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Ooh,
so, connection
wonderful film
to Trek with our wonderful Giorgio.
Oscar-winning.
Thank you. Yes, with our Oscar-winning Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one, and yeah.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Mark White for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
If you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at BQN Podcasts, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. Strange New Worlds is going to be starting up in June, so we're still in this period where we're taking a few weeks off. But when you next hear from us, we'll be doing a Season 1 recap of Strange New Worlds in anticipation of Season 2. Until then, we bid you peace and long life.